Look at me! Ooh, that hurt the throat a little bit. I beat Dead Space 2 in a total of 4 days, but that's because it was so good I played the living crap out of that game. Dead Space 2 is the perfect sequel. It takes everything that was good about Dead Space 1, like everything, like the gameplay and everything that was so much fun about that game, and it finds a way to make it a little bit better. And it's even actually a bit scarier than the first one, which surprised me. I didn't think it was going to be. But I found myself nervously clutching the controller, like... That's mainly due to the fact that Dead Space 2 actually, like, changed the environments a bit more often than Dead Space 1 did. And I took it to some scary places. Like, the environment in Dead Space 1 never really changed, so you kind of got used to it, so you kind of got used to where things would pop out at you. But since the environment changed in Dead Space 2, you never had any idea where they're going to come at you from. It was terrifying. The storyline in Dead Space 2 it's a bit better than Dead Space 1. Like, a bit. Like, I love the storyline in Dead Space 1. I love the storyline in Dead Space 2. Dead Space 2's story is just a bit better. That's mainly due to the fact that there's actual plot development throughout the game, so, like, a bunch of the plot doesn't happen towards the end of the game. The plot all kind of happens periodically throughout the game, and there's a few twists towards the end, but they're not as a major, like, the twists at the end of Dead Space 2 aren't as major as they are at the end of Dead Space 1. So the ending feels a bit weaker than Dead Space 1 ending was, but it's still a very, very strong plot, and it's very satisfying, and it's really well done. Because Isaac actually talks this time, there's actually a character to relate to. Although I did kind of like Isaac not talking in Dead Space 1 just because, I don't know, I feel like I embodied that character a bit more. But in Dead Space 2, it's more like you're watching an actual story, because the main character actually talk. One of the other really cool things about Dead Space 2, which made me very glad that I did my Dead Space saga, is a character from Ignition and a character from Aftermath both appear in Dead Space. So if you've seen Aftermath, or you've played Ignition, there's a bit of a, oh hey, it's that guy. Oh, it's that guy. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like, it's neat how they brought together they brought together all this different stuff from the franchise and put it all into Dead Space 2. I like it when franchises do that. It's a bit of a money grab because it forces you to like pay attention to all these different things, but it's cool because then you know these other characters from a different basis, and I don't know, it always makes me feel like the main character is that much more important if these other important characters are in the game, but the main character is still the most important character. So I don't know, it gives, for me, it gives the main character more weight, which I like. So the gameplay, like I said before, is basically the same thing, just a few minor improvements, which is always a good thing. No, in Dead Space 2, there are a few new enemies, but none of them really stand out in my mind, except for the raptor things. They scared the Jesus out of me. There was one time I was playing, and I had found a small glitch, where there was one part of the room I was hiding in where the raptors couldn't get me. Raptor things, raptor necromorph things. So I was hiding in that one spot, and I knew there was a bunch of them in there. So I figured, okay, I'll take a step in, and I'll probably see like a head or two peek out, and I'll be able to figure out where they're hiding so I can take them out. Took a step in, 5 heads popped out from different locations. I had to pause the game. I was like, it was not my finest moment, but it's a testament to the fact that even after all the scares they throw at you in Dead Space 1, there's still some original stuff they can throw at you, which is pretty amazing. The only, for me, this is just me, okay? This probably has no resemblance on anyone else. But I actually enjoyed the graphics a bit better in Dead Space 1. I know a lot of people disagree with me because they'll say like the graphics look more finely tuned and the faces emote more in Dead Space 2. But my problem with the graphics in Dead Space 2 is it's starting to look like the graphics in every other game. Like if you take a look at Assassin's Creed and Dead Space, I think they're running on the same engine and all their characters kind of look the same. I like the Dead Space 1 because Dead Space 1 had its own kind of like engine, I think, and the characters just looked more, I don't know, they looked different, and I like that. It gave it a bit more of its own identity. But if they're using another engine for the purpose of cutting down costs in their areas so they can improve the gameplay and the story and such, it's fine. Just I like the graphics a bit better on the first one. I didn't get a chance to play the multiplayer because, well, my Xbox Live is going poopy on me. So, I don't know. I heard it's not that amazing anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, Dead Space 2 is amazing. It's so good. If you have played the first one, or even if you haven't, you should definitely pick up Dead Space 2, or at least rent it, because Dead Space 2 is pretty freaking awesome. But yeah, that is my Dead Space 2 review, and that is the end of my Dead Space saga. So I guess that's really all for me today. Yeah, I can't think of anything else to say. Alrighty, Broham the Wise / Jeff out.